The following video will show you how to use the level editor to create custom weapons, like shown in the video right now. In the modding kit, if you go to the Tools for Mods folder and then click Custom Weapon Tools, you'll find 3 separate templates that you can use to start creating your custom weapons. Since we'll be making a shotgun in this video, we'll be choosing the second template. So highlight that and drag it into the scene. You can press F to focus on the object. Click on the triangle to open up the hierarchy. Shotguns in Fast and Low are made up of 3 parts. The frame, which is the main body of the gun. The pump, which is the grip. And also the slide. Your created gun models would have to be broken into these 3 parts in order for it to work. We're now going to import our custom model into the editor. Create a new folder in the Projects tab. This is where we're going to store our base model and our textures. Highlight your textures and drag them into Unity. You also want to drag in your 3D model. Once that's done, drag the model into your scene. In this example, there's quite a few problems with the imported model. The first problem is that the scale is ridiculously large. To fix the scale issue, click on the 3D model file in the hierarchy. Look in the inspector and under the Models tab, you should see the scale factor field. Over here you can change it to whatever you like. In this video we're going to be changing it to 0.1. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new material for our gun. So right click on an empty spot in the hierarchy, select material, you can name it whatever you like. You can start dragging in your imported textures into your materials. If you find a good custom model with textures, they'll generally already have the textures labeled correctly with albedo, ambient occlusion, metal, normal, and etc. So it should be pretty self-explanatory to drag it into your material slots. Next, apply the custom material that you just created into your mesh renderer for each of the gun parts. And just like that, that should solve all our initial importing issues into Unity. We'll now be modifying the template so its appearance would match the custom weapon. In the template, click on Frame Mesh, and in the inspector, look over at the mesh filter. There are 2 ways you can change the mesh. One is by clicking the little circle and finding the mesh of the custom weapon. Another method is finding the mesh in your Projects tab and just dragging it into the correct slot. Once you import the mesh, you can change the rotation in the inspector. You would also have to change the materials, so just change that to 1 and drag in your created custom material. After that, you can change the position so that it fits into the little hands. You can also further change the scale. Ultimately, I ended with 17. Here I'm doing the same for the next piece, the pump. I'm just dragging in the desired mesh, changing the rotation, changing the scale, and moving the position to the right spot. And one more time for the bullet slide. Changing the mesh, changing the rotation, changing the scale, changing the material. We can now modify the stats for the custom weapon. To do that, click on the template and you'll find a custom pump shotgun definition. The fields are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll just go over it real quick. Here you can set the weapon name. Enemy alert range affects how close the enemy needs to be to hear your gun. So for like a silenced gun, you probably want a really low value. change the recoil, the braced recoil, which is the recoil when the gun is grabbed, the size of the mag, and etc. If you click on muzzle, you can adjust where you want the bullets to come out of for your gun. If you go over to the inspector for the muzzle, you can add your own custom muzzle flash. Or if you just want to use the default fast and load muzzle flash, just remove the particle component. With the grab handles, you can adjust how you want the gun to be held in game. So just move them so that they are placed where you want them to be in game. And you can do the same for the offhands. You may need to fiddle around with this a bit before you get it perfect. For the iron sights, you want to align it with the model. Otherwise your gun wouldn't shoot straight. If you have your own custom audio for the gun, you place it into the audio slots. Otherwise, it will just use the default fast and low audio. And lastly, for the ammo counter, just move the purple box to the side of the gun or wherever you want, and the ammo counter would show up there in game. Okay, when you're done, change the name of the prefab and drag it into the resources prefabs folder. After that, hit tools, go to export mod, and for the mod name it has to be the exact same as the prefab. If everything's done correctly, you can move your newly created mod into your mods folder and you can try out your new weapon.